All right, guys, it is hot outside. It's in the 90s. I am not in my garage today, so I'm in the office working on this, but I've got to tell you this. This is freaking amazing. Out of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Lowell District Court, order number 2211CR 2835, Dean F. Donnell, Donnell. The memorandum of decision for defendant's motion to dismiss. The defendant, Dean Donnell, is charged in the Lowell District Court with carrying a firearm without a license under GL 269-10A. The defendant has filed a motion to dismiss the charges in a complaint claiming that GL 269-10A is unconstitutional on its face. It is also unconstitutional when it applies to the defendant, and it violates the defendant's rights to be free from cruel and unusual punishment. Okay, that is the start of it, but this is the memorandum of a decision of the defendant's motion to dismiss. Now, if I go to the last page of this, I want you guys to hear the ending of this. In conclusion, this is what the judge writes. A law-abiding resident of New Hampshire who is exercising, he's from New Hampshire, he went across the state lines to Massachusetts and got arrested for having a gun. You need to know that. A law-abiding citizen from New Hampshire who has exercised his constitutional right should not become a felon by exercising that right while he is traveling through Massachusetts merely because he has not obtained a Massachusetts license to carry, which now, under the holding of Bruin, has to be issued to an applicant unless the applicant is otherwise disqualified. The standard for who is a disqualified individual must be the same for every state. That's what they're trying to say. I add that for every state. Otherwise, a state may decide to propose different requirements on the exercise of any constitutional right. For example, some states could impose different age limits on voting on an election. This court can think of no other constitutional right which a person loses simply by traveling beyond his home state border into another state, constituting an exercise that he's instantaneously a felon, subject to a mandatory minimum sentence of incarceration. Anecdotally, a law-abiding New Hampshire resident exercising his constitutional right to carry while shopping at Pleasant Tree Mall in Nashua, New Hampshire, would become a felon when he shopped in a section of the mall, because the mall is on a state line, which happens to be in Massachusetts. An individual only loses his constitutional right if he commits an offense or is or has been engaged in certain behaviors that is covered under 18 U.S.C. Section 922. He doesn't lose that right simply by traveling into an adjoining state who constitutes a mandatory or mandates the residents of that state obtain a license prior to exercising the constitutional right. To hold otherwise would implicitly treat Second Amendment rights differently than any other individually held right. Therefore, the court finds GL 269 Section 10A in an unconstitutional as applied this particularly situated defendant and allows the motion to dismiss on that grounds. This is freaking huge. This is paving the way to carry across state lines. We're working in the right direction for the 2A. Like and subscribe.